You're watching TVC News at 1. A reminder of our top stories this hour. Attorney General of Rivers State resigns as group of 26 lawmakers hold separate plenary amidst political crisis. Acting Governor of Ondo State Lucky Aiyedatiwa appeals for CAM seek unity to move the state forward. Outside Nigeria, United States House votes to authorize President Biden impeachment inquiry. Thanks for staying with us. The National Assembly has challenged the government to tap into the $1.8 trillion potentials offered by the blue economy and improve revenue generation through the maritime industry. This comes as the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Gboyega Oyetola, makes a case for $1.2 billion to address infrastructure decay at the Tin Can and other ports. National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa reports.
Economic diversification is one of the pillars upon which the Tinubu administration is built, and the solid minerals sector plays a significant role. The House Committee on Solid Minerals says it is ready to lend support to the government in this regard.
When I received the budget proposal for 2024, it cast a dark shadow owing to the fact that the sums appropriated to this critical sector are not just inadequate, but grossly inadequate.
Just before delving into the figures, the minister outlines a 7-point agenda targeted at increasing the sector's contribution to the nation's gross domestic product. He says plans are on to sanitize the operational procedures of the sector, more importantly, in tackling insecurity.
It is the army of the unemployed that are all over the place that these sponsors of banditry draw from. So when the operators get the endorsement of the host communities, and they also engage or employ the youths in their catchment areas, they would have substantially reduced the pool.
We apologize for the mix-up in that report. We'll bring you details subsequently. For Nigeria to increase its gross domestic products to $1 trillion as projected by President Bola Tinubu, it must increase investments in electricity supply across the country. And this is according to the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, at a retreat on the Integrated National Electricity Policy and Strategic Implementation. Correspondent Habida Lawal reports.
As of 2022, 70.5% of the grid electricity is generated by thermal plant, 27.3% from hydro, whilst solar and other power plants made up 2.2%. As Nigeria ramps up capacity to generate more electricity through renewable means such as solar, hydro, wind, bioenergy and others, 98% of the feedstock powering electricity generation in the country are transition or clean fuels. A major issue in the sector identified at this gathering is the pricing of gas utilized by gencos and forex, a huge variable that significantly affects the pricing of electricity to end users.
Nigeria electricity supply industry transmission subsector has been identified as a critical weak point in the value chain lately, a view that is widely shared. To align with the Electricity Act 2023 and the industry's demand, it is time to restructure the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, into two entities.
Years ago, there was the privatization exercise. To say the least, it has underwhelmed, it has underperformed. You can even go as far as to say the results have been disappointing. It's important that those in charge of, for example, the discos that have been privatized, they have to be in the room, they have to be part of the conversation, and they have to be part of the solution.
A more preferable option that was suggested is to ensure that the gas utilized by the gencos is traded in Naira so as to better manage the foreign currency-related inflation trends that challenge the application of the multi-year tariff order methodology. Due to underperformance, also, the Transmission Company of Nigeria will be unbundled. Away from the technicalities of the power sector, what an average Nigerian needs is a steady power supply. It is why the federal government, through the Minister of Power, has announced possible move to unbundle the Transmission Company of Nigeria to better serve its consumers. Habida Lawal, TVC News, Abuja.
And back here in Lagos, where Governor Babajide Sanwoolu has presented a budget of 2.246 trillion naira to the State House of Assembly for approval. The proposed appropriation tagged budget of renewal has a recurrent expenditure of 1.021 trillion naira, which is 45%, and a capital expenditure of 1.224 trillion naira, which stands at 55%. TVC News correspondent Abibola Agbebe has the details.
The arrival of Governor Babajide Sanwoolu signals the beginning of the presentation of the year 2024 appropriation bill. The governor recognizes the harsh economic realities triggered by the removal of fuel subsidy earlier in the year and the plan to align the year 2024 budget towards alleviating the sufferings of residents in the state.
The hope for these challenging times. I'd like to start this address by acknowledging that we are indeed in challenging economic times in our country. High, galloping inflation, high cost of living that have also been worsened by decisions of the removal of petrol and foreign exchange subsidies, which almost took this country to a verge of bankruptcy. The effect of these are being directly felt in lives and homes across the country. Higher cost of living, including feeding and transportation.
On a brighter note, Governor Sanwoolu gives highlights of the budget performance, which he explains was evident in the various transformation projects delivered in the year.
In the last 4 years, we have completed, commissioned, and handed over 91 roads projects and several improved junctions, whilst we have 140 roads at various levels of completion. No part of Lagos has been left untouched.
The governor proceeded to present a proposed budget size of 2.246 trillion for the new fiscal year, seeking the lawmakers' approval. Governor Babajide Sanwoolu also highlighted the sectoral allocation of the proposed budget.
I would like to extend my appreciation to Governor Babajide Sanwoolu for his diligent efforts in presenting the year 2024 budget of renewal. We told our governor while we talk of giving palliatives to the people to ameliorate the present economic situation. I believe it is time for paradigm shift. We must now move from intangible things to concrete things. Palliatives should move from just giving people gari, rice, beans, even money.
And now that the budget estimate for the new fiscal year has been presented to the House, the Speaker emphasized the need to apply the right indices that will ensure a functioning and performing budget that will reposition the state for infrastructural growth and renewal. Abimbola Agbebe, TVC News, Lagos.
Federal lawmakers have criticized the lack of synergy between the Ministry of Defense and other security agencies and parastatals under it. The matter was brought to the fore when the minister appeared before the National Assembly's Joint Committee on Defense to defend its 2024 budget proposal. Tejesu Adeoye has details.
It is the turn of the Ministry of Defense to present its 2023 budget performance as well as its 2024 budget estimates. The Minister of Defense says 78.5 billion naira is the proposed allocation for the ministry's headquarters for the 2024 fiscal year. However, the minister appeals to the lawmakers for an upward review of the ministry's overhead cost to reflect current economic realities.
Distinguished senators and honorable members, you are aware of the inflation trend and the cost of diesel, petrol, as well, and the operation cost. So really the overheads is really very, very low, and we urge you to support and see how you can improve our overheads to help us improve effectively well.
The chairman and other members of the committee talked about what appears to be a frosty relationship between the ministry and other security agencies under its supervision. The committee described the situation as an anomaly that must be addressed to restore synergy in the country's security architecture.
We're looking for value for money. It's not enough to approve money and resources. We'll be looking for how the monies have changed the situation.
The committee is also not unaware of the challenges faced by armed forces in the prosecution of the various operations across the country. Despite the challenges, including the recent unfortunate bombing at Tudunbiri in Kaduna State, we are delighted with the successes recorded so far, especially in the last 12 months.
The committee tasked the ministry to ensure value for money and pledges its legislative support to ensure there is provision of more resources for the ministry. The lawmakers have also assured that it will expedite action on the Armed Forces Support Fund bill in order to augment the envelope budgetary provisions, which will ensure improved funding for security. Tijesu Adeoye, TVC News, Abuja.
And as Nigeria continues to grapple with the effects of corruption, especially high-profile cases, there are now more pushes for strict adherence to the rule of law to tackle the most critical impediment to the country's development. This formed part of discussions at the 7th edition of the Compendium of 100 high-profile corruption cases in Nigeria, which was held in Lagos. There is more in this report.
War on corruption is not new to Nigeria, as there have been continuous efforts to rid the nation of this menace that has over time taken a toll on its economy. This event brings together key players in the anti-graft war, senior legal practitioners and civil society organizations who are gathered to brainstorm on ways through which corruption can be eradicated completely. Major speakers at the event joined calls for adherence to the rule of law and emphasized that corruption erodes trust and obstructs the path to justice.
We must let everybody know that corruption does not pay. Our laws should be reviewed and brought in line with current trends globally, global best practices.
We need to fight corruption in the context of respect for the rule of law. If indeed we are interested in fighting corruption, then we must ensure that there is effective and efficient administration of criminal justice system.
On his part, the Attorney General of Lagos State identified one of the notable steps taken to combat corruption in the state as the enactment of the Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission law.
So there are so many things we need to begin to do to discourage corruption, and that is by attacking the causes of corruption in our society.
Chairman of EFCC, Ola Olukoyede, who was represented by the zonal commander of the Lagos office, Michael Wetkas, warned that nobody is immune to corruption and efforts must be taken to eliminate it.
All over the world, corruption is a threat to growth and development of individuals and nations. No one is immune to the contagion of corruption, which is why nations are united in finding solutions to this common ailment.
Chairman of HEDA, Olanrewaju Suraju, who joined the event virtually, said the compendium was compiled as one of the organization's efforts to fight against corruption. He also seeks collaboration with critical players to profile lasting solutions.
Worried by the proliferation of skin lightening creams, a non-governmental organization in partnership with NAFDAC held a capacity-building workshop to strengthen enforcement on the sales, uses and distribution of these products which are harmful to human health and the environment. Esther Mokwariola has details.
Skin lightening is a cosmetic procedure that aims to lighten dark areas of the skin or achieve a generally paler skin tone. In Nigeria, about 77% of women use skin lightening products, which health experts say have dangerous negative side effects. To this end, this stakeholders meeting seeks to intensify advocacy efforts, specifically targeting the illegal sale of skin lightening creams containing harmful substances like mercury, which aren't known to unsuspecting consumers.
Mercury is a very dangerous neurotoxicant, deadly chemical, and that's why the global community has banned mercury use in products under the Minamata Convention. These companies continue to add mercury to creams, and they come through online, and a lot of our people do not know, all in the name of wanting to look beautiful. The real beauty is in the true color, but unknown to them, unsuspecting, people suffer from dangerous health problems like reproductive health problems, neurological problems, stillbirths, and so many problems associated with mercury.
The focus goes beyond advocacy. It extends to scrutinizing products available on market shelves.
We want to make sure that e-commerce platforms are recognized. They have a physical seat. We can see who is behind Kunga. We can see who is behind Gigi. We can see who is behind Jumia, because they are killing a lot of Nigerians. People just go online and buy all kinds of things that they don't know the content. They have no NAFDAC registration.
LASEPA, for one, we do a lot of monitoring and enforcement, especially with respect to the utilization of chemicals. When you are using products, especially skin lightening creams, you need to know what you're using. You need to read the labels. You need to know if they are registered. You need to protect yourself.
As stakeholders unite to combat the harmful impact of skin lightening creams, the emphasis is not only on raising awareness, but also on rigorous inspections to ensure the well-being of consumers. Esther Mopariola, TVC News, Lagos.
Elsewhere, young creatives have now been advised to understand the reason for embarking on any venture to contribute their quota and become change agents in the creative industry. TVC News correspondent Theophilus Elama has details, and we'll return with business news.
These are young people creating content for a cause, leading to enlightenment on specific issues. The human papilloma virus HPV is up as a subject for discussion as young people are taught to use poetry, arts and photography to pass a message. Practitioners in this space are also on hand to give these young minds direction in the film industry.
You have to pay attention to your world as a writer, because that is what will facilitate the world you are creating. As a writer, you are a creator, and so you are creating different things. You heard Dr. Fejiro say that. She said, we want to know the creative ways of putting the message across. So now medical people are coming to say, what can you pull out? In what world can you create that we don't know, so that we can reach people better?
Not find what is important to your audience and what is generating interest daily. What are people talking about? And bring out the niche, bring out the legal angle of it, and maybe that will help you. And sometimes it's not about the number of followers that you have. You need to really focus and understand that it may be one or two people that you read that have seen your whatever you shared, but you have been able to impact and change those lives. So it's important to always have a positive outlook and be reassured that you are indeed change agents and you're making that change.
Research by the Lancet reveals that more than 44 million women globally stand to develop cervical cancer between 2020 to 2069. These young creatives are taking on the challenge to make content that will promote the use of the HPV vaccine, amongst other health-related issues.
We know that the health system needs a lot of improvements, needs to close the gap, and we feel that the youths will be able to advocate for health issues, come up with solutions, and use these solutions to meet the health needs in Nigeria.
Youth spend a lot of their time getting their information from the internet, from the social media, and so to get any information you want to get across to them, you have got to simply create content that resonates with them, and that's what some of us are trying to do.
In a bid to encourage the younger generation of creatives, tools and gadgets were given to deserving content creators to aid their sensitization work. Theophilus Ilama, TVC News, Lagos.